section in there talks a whole lot about how we relate to each other as activists. He talks about Bob Moses came to Mississippi and people that he contacted and people that went to the Delta. You know, he talks all about that. Damn what it talks about in the book. And I recommend that most, you should read that book. And read the book, Letter from Mississippi. It's a lot of material. Yeah. While you're in here in the office, you know, me and Frank was talking about that the other day.
Well, I think we can say that folks that's part of the NAACP here, working with Derek, is in the process of reading a whole lot of stuff, and we'll applaud them for that.
Yeah.
But coming back to the question that Ms. Mark raised is, as I see it, there are certain things that are imprints, and there are certain things that become absorbed into you and become a part of your life itself. Take, for example, now the other thing for those that might not know it, Brother Wazir here, he's from Tallahatchie County. Things that become a part of your life. And to give you an example is, every time I think about what happened to Mrs. Hamer, I can't help but think about what happened to her and what possibly could have happened to her. And it's impossible for me to forget the other folks that was with her, of which some of the same thing happened, and all of that possibility could have been not just with Ms. Hamer, but with the others as well. Now, another piece that I can never forget is what prevented that possibility from happening. See, when I think about that, I could never forget about Wazir, because it was Wazir and I who folks knew as Willie Peacock. I could never forget about us wondering what had happened to our folks, because we didn't get the phone call and decided that we ain't gonna wait no more. We're gonna develop a plan. And the plan that we developed was that one of us was gonna call the local sheriff, all in the area, local police departments, and the other one was gonna be calling the Justice Department and the FBI at the national level. The one that was calling the local office, sheriffs and all of them, we were going to say to them that we know you got our folks, and we know you intend to kill them. And the one that would be calling, the Justice Department and the FBI office, we're going to say to them, they got them and have already killed them. That was the message. About 10 minutes later, John Doe, the guy you saw yesterday, he called us and said, "You're right. They got them, but they ain't gonna kill them. This is where they are."
That's right.
So what I'm saying is that when I think about any aspect of that, all of the other folks naturally come into play, because all of that is not just something I saw, not something that I read, what have you, but all of that becomes a part of me in my life. So that's part of how, we remember, these people.
And also we had the passion when we came in. We had already started forming this passion. Mm-hmm. It's a passion. We were zealots. I mean, it's part of our DNA. We didn't come in. We weren't recruited. We came in.
We came in.
Mm-hmm. And we knew that there were bad things out there that could happen, and but the good outweighed what we felt would have been the bad. And once you bond and form a nucleus in a war, the war that we were fighting, we banded together, and we don't have to meet and talk about it because it's part of us, shared memories. And you think about it often because it's part of your DNA. It's there. It's there. And it will always be there. And because we started out thinking about it, but we didn't actually know how to get into it, but we knew there was a need that needed to be fulfilled. And so we may not see each other for 2 or 3 more years, but we know that we share, as Hollis said, that shared experience. And I can talk about many things.
But if you had not been expelled, you think they would have changed you? If they had left you in place, do you think they would have changed you?
No. Because when I saw the picture of Emmett Till, it had changed me.
You know, I'm glad you mentioned that the DNA part. I'm a firm believer, and I go to my grave with this. Racism is not something that children are taught. I feel that racism is in your blood.
I don't know about that.
It's insanity. It's a form of insanity,
right.
my brother.
It's in your blood.
And whoever practices it is crazy.
That's right.
On both sides,
And
black and white.
By her saying this movement is part of the DNA, I agree. You have to, it has to be in your blood in order to believe in what you're doing, especially when you know your life is on the line. And I'm glad you said that because I believe that.
Well, I just want to say that, you know, it had time to get into the DA because from the time before we got on the on the Mayflower or whatever the mother ships were, we were fighting.
That's right. That's right.
Mayflower, the Jesus.
all of them. We were fighting.
So we've been scrambling all our life.
Well, Mr. Sullivan, that came to break up the mass meeting, him and his 6 brothers, and everybody took off. Scared. You see them cartoons in the movie where they be cutting out and leaving, they going so fast they turn sideways and they be getting out of there. That's the way it was.
You know,
people are afraid. One man with 1 pistol called him his 6 brothers. And everybody fled. Well, not everybody. I mean, he had the gun on me. I couldn't run.
See, when I went downtown on Capitol Street, you were real young. And I went into the department store on Capitol Street, walked in there. And the dude came up to me, the salesman came up to me, hey, take that hat off. All right. I took the hat off. I came back about a week later, or a few days later, automatic. When I went in there, I automatically took the hat off. Because I was told that I couldn't wear my hat in there. If I was going to come in there, I got to take that hat off. Now I couldn't figure out. I couldn't figure out why I had to take my hat off. Why that dude told me to take my hat off. Just like walking on the sidewalk. When white people come down the sidewalk, you get up. You go, let them pass. If you don't get off, they're gonna confront you with it.
You can go to jail. That's for that.
They're gonna remind you. I went in the Everly Hotel one time because my uncle was working in the basement. I went in the front. Ain't no white people saying nothing to me. I walked all through that, but no white people said nothing to me. But a black person walked right up to me and said, "May I help you? You know you don't supposed to be in here." you know you don't supposed to go in the back. And in most cases, black people remind you where you're supposed to be. You know, see, all of that stuff grow into, you know, it become a way, it become a part of your life. Like my father, he was working in, you know, doing block, laying blocks and bricks and stuff, and I'm helping him. And the man he was working for drove up and got out and say, Isaac, boy, you ain't finished yet. You told me you were going to be finished. And he said, well, you know, I had to go against him. I had to go and talk to you, try to make, you know. He said, that damn nigga. Now you ain't gonna do. You're not gonna work for me anymore. So I'm standing there looking at all that. And so when he left, my father looked at me. He said, I hate them. I hate that damn cracker. I hate his guts. See, all that stuff.
It's in there. That's your DNA.
It's in me. When I went out to the golf course, they caddy. The man said, hey, you want to caddy? You know, I didn't know nothing about caddy. You know, he taught me. He told me to. Well, see, all of that stuff is still in me. You know what I mean? So,
Well, when you look at us as black people talking about our DNA, we are the direct descendants of Almighty. Direct. And by us being direct descendants of Almighty God, which is about righteousness, which is about fairness, which is about justice. So it is instinctively instilled in us to reject and oppose that which is not about righteousness, that which is not about justice. It is in us to reject that and oppose it. The problem is that these 400 years of being taught to not go in accord with our nature have overwhelmed that which is natural in us.
If you drove a car for 400 years and drive, never use reverse, for 400 years, that car will never go in reverse. Not properly.
That is that possibility, and that's what I'm saying. That's what we all have to face, and each of us to varying degrees. Whereas, you know, through some mean of whatever, you know, yours may not have but just a thin layer over it. So your fuse is real short, you know, and you see it you instantly. Whereas if mine got 5 or 6 layers over it, you know, there's gonna have to be some prodding and some digging to get me to that point. And I think that's what we're seeing, you know, among us, you know, today is that some of us, it takes a little bit more prodding, a little bit deeper digging in order for us to get to the level of being our natural selves and representing, you know, our Father.
We were changed at an early age in Charleston. You might remember this on Saturdays. The town would just be packed with people.
I remember.
And the courthouse was the center for them. And black kids, 7, 8 years old, 9 years old, like that, be on the courthouse. White folk would take out a handful of pennies, throw them out there, and have you wrestle and tussle for the pennies.
What?
Yeah.
That was a sport, I guess.
Yeah.
I used to do our chicken.
Right.
But that's the way they programmed us from a very early age.
We didn't do that in Jackson.
Well, see, you in Jackson. I'm talking about a little small town.
See, out there in the country, and I studied. I studied that and was able to put it, you know, in the context of people. I stumbled up on it. I got me some corn. And I would, you know, I called all of the chickens there. Chick, you know, right, they all come in there. All right.
They know it's a free meal coming.
So they all are here, and I throw 1 grain of corn out at a time. You know, and 3 of them run in there. The one that get it, the other look at it. Throw another one. They'll run up in there, and next thing you know, run up in there. If I don't get it, you get it.
Yeah.
The next thing you know, you duking it out, you know, because that's how the chicken were, you know.
Yeah.
Start to fight it. That's okay.
Yeah.
Throw a few out and do the same thing. And that same principle which they have discovered, you know, among us. Hey, look, we'll give.
Well, that's they got a saying out. It was a TV show where they was talking about, oh, Ali and Frazier, they gonna fight. Well, the older grandmother in the house, she wasn't interested in no boxing. And everybody was interested in the boxing match, and everybody was getting prepared, getting their drinks and their food, sitting in front of the TV. They gonna watch this heavyweight championship fight. Grandma, how come you don't want to watch the fight? She said, if I wanted to see 2 niggas fighting, all I have to do is throw $2 out the window.
Well, I'm gonna have to run. I got a 2 o'clock meeting, but I have really enjoyed this, and just want to give a shout out to Brother Hollis. I spent 5 years working under him at Southern Echo, and all of these lessons, some of which y'all have talked about today, and you know, some of which I've just heard over years and years and years. You know, we learned in training under him, and I just felt like I got the best education I could ever ask for. I talked to folks who go to Midwest Academy and all of these other places to study organizing, and I just feel so blessed to have learned from the best.
Right, you didn't need to go to
Exactly. I mean, Hollis used to get furious with us if we were supposed to be up in Montgomery County with Al or up there in Tunica, and you know, we would stop over and lollygag and eat or whatever, and we were supposed to be there at a certain time. He would be furious with us and taught us, you know, no, because back in the day, oh yeah, look, if I did, he would. You know, back in the day, you could be on the side of the road dead.
Yeah, we'd be looking all over the place for you.
We had the cell phones, we had, you know, but it was just really that serious. And, you know, from time to time, you know, we were never in, well, I never thought we were in any real danger. There would be times when we would be followed or whatever, when we would be coming home, but never anything serious happened. But just those lessons just taught us how real this work is.
And be vigilant now. Don't think.
Exactly, because it's not, you know, great now.
Now it's time to let you go when we let our guard down.
Yes.
Exactly, because it's just more institutionalized now. But, you know, you're not able to see it unless you know those lessons from the clear and present and out there up front.
Look what happened in Batesville just the other day. A man was coming down the highway by minding his own business. Either somebody drew a drive-by on him and shot him, or somebody was laying off in the bushes by the highway and just randomly killed the man. They don't know who did it or why.
Right. Yeah. Hanging in Greenwood, you know, young men die in jail, you know, almost every week in Mississippi. We never hear about it because the authorities say, oh, they hung themselves, or it was, you know, prisoner against prisoner.
Apathy in the black community, we don't care. Kill them all, lock them all up.
Exactly.
Them rogues stealing, thieving.
Every time you crazy Negro like me to go, don't go without a gun.
See, that's
Every
apathy
now
on
and
our
then.
part.
Yeah.
Because we allow this stuff to happen.
Yeah.
See, if we camp out at the jailhouse all night, all the week,
They won't.
we get some answers.
That's right. I remember the night that Jimmy Travis and Bob them got shot up there. We begged them not to leave town that night. We begged them. We knew somebody. We said we got all kind of places for you to stay, because anybody that leave going toward Ida Brennan don't get it. It was full cars of them. And me and Hollis in a car across the street from the office. They came. A couple of cars of them came by the office after Bob and them had left. And we came out of there, we chased them. Because we didn't have no gun, but we chased them. We could have made them wreck the car or something. They took off. We cut those two cars out, but the ones that was after Bob then, we couldn't do that. All we could do was keep them. And the reason I bring that story up is that the vigilance. If all four of those 4 cars and they were loaded, and all of it was at least four of those white people in each car. If they all had been able to be after Bob and Jimmy Travis, they would put them put them in the crater. If one car here, one car here, one car here, one car there, and they would have had all of them. They'd have had all of them, because they couldn't have gotten out of that. They could have shot all of them.
Even today, Tyson can probably tell you, even today, every night I get on there, like traveling by himself.
Oh yeah, never.
I told Tyson, Mr. Figures, we need to get with James Figs and reorganize the security.
Yes.
Yeah.
Me, I don't go nowhere without my gun.
Yeah.
It's loaded, I'm licensed, and I got 2 or 3 in the truck.
Yeah.
And I'll tell Derek, you need to stop traveling by yourself.
Oh yeah.
So true. But right now though, even when y'all talk, even now, I can feel the fear.
It's tension.
I can feel the fear, even then. So what about the fear that y'all had? Did you have it?
I said, did you hear me say that? Did you hear me say that I wasn't scared? I wasn't
No, we
scared.
didn't.
I heard you.
No, I was 19.
Let me tell you.
Because
You were a child in school.
I was 19.
Let me tell you
we
the
studied
deal.
situation, and we stayed on the case, and it was intense. It was always something every moment to moment to moment.
You're always on your P's and Q's.
We have a passion. There's a passion.
The thing is,
Passion beyond fear.
let me tell you what it is. 19, I'm invincible, and this don't happen to me, it happened to them other chumps.
Other people.
That's what it is. It don't happen to me. He made a mistake. He wasn't paying attention to reading, he got it.
Okay. But it won't happen to me.
Oh no.
Because see, when I look at somebody Tyson's age, I remember the time when I could jump high, I could do so many things, and death was just way far away from me.
Yeah, see? It don't happen to me, it happens to someone else.
One of the things that it's like today, I talk about overcoming fear. And when I say overcome fear, I'm talking about you not allowing the fear that you might have to prevent you from doing what you know need to be done.
Right, which is natural.
When it needs to be done, with whom it needs to be done. So I talk about overcoming fear. To a certain extent, as I see it, there's some fear that's in all of us. But the need for this to be done overwhelms and supersedes that which you have, that fear that you have with them. And that's why I say overcome it. And once that which you know need to be done, that which you know need to be said, supersedes that fear in you which is saying you can't do it, don't try to do it, then you go ahead on and do it. That fear becomes second, third, dairy, and all of that. And the predominant thing is this that I know need to be done now with whom it needs to be done.
And fear is another kind of thing. See, fear, it can be reversed. You can go absolutely mad and run into the face of all the enemy with all their force. When you overcome it, I don't know if that's overcoming it, but some people react to it by charging it.
You know, Dr. Henry told me that.
Facing the fear.
For me, I think I sit there listening, and I know I'm the youngest person in the room, and I'm not from Mississippi, so. I'm the youngest person. I'm sorry. I second that. I'm the second youngest person. However, I'm from Illinois, so when in growing up in the 80s and in the 90s when I started learning and everything, I read about this. Really, I had no clue in my life that I'd be sitting here with people who I read about, or people who were involved in the movements that I read about. But when I read about that stuff, it used to make me mad. I used to stand up to white people in Illinois. We didn't have it, wasn't oppressive like it was down here, but I tell my teacher in a minute she's racist. If I felt she was racist, I tell people and I fight for it. And it's just like I had this overall this fear left my body when it came to talking about my people. And when I finally figured out what I wanted to do in my life, what that passion was, that's the same passion you speak of now. And it's kind of like, wow, is that in my DNA? Is something that passed down to me that I had no clue? Because when we talk about Derek traveling, every time I'm with Derek, I'm visual. It's something that I'm in my military training too. So I'm thinking in my head, somebody out there might be ready to make that move. What can we do? And I think about it every time I'm in the car with him, and we sitting in this office. I think about it, and I can't. And I talk to my friends who, a lot of them don't get involved in this kind of things and don't really see it from that perspective. They're not cognizant of it, but I'm like, I'm always ready to die. I think that's why I live my life every day, and I try to do the best thing I can every day and try to live up to the person that God put inside of me every day, because I say at any point in time, this could be over.
Yeah, but we get used to things. I'm not afraid of snakes. I'm afraid of getting bit. But I'm not scared of the snake. Okay. I'm afraid of if I don't see him. Yeah. That's what scares me the most. When I don't know that he's there. Mm-hmm. That's my fear. As long as I can see him, I'm not afraid of him.
Right. Well, that's the same way I feel about black versus white. I don't trust no white person. So I'm always on point. Whenever I don't trust the best. I don't care. I don't trust William Winner, the one they say is good Christian white man. I don't trust none of them. He's making money. Right. I don't trust any white person.
Mr. Damer taught us that. He grew up with this guy and was friends, and they thought they were the best of friends, and his best friend shot him.
That's right. Now, take that versus black people.
You trust all black people, right?
I don't trust all black people. I trust a few. But I'm more comfortable in my surroundings. But
you just about know with one other line. You just about know anyway.
I'm not comfortable at all around white people. Whenever I pull up to a red light and a couple of cars pull up side of the red light, got white guys in it, I always keep my pistol inside me. And I'm not afraid to die. Anything ain't worth dying for, ain't worth living for.
That's right. The extent something on
and that's the part of fear.
Something you brought up about how we remember. We know that we are special elite to have so many brothers and sisters, friends, tried and tested friendship. We've been tried and tested. We know what each one of us would do for the other. We know that. I know they'll come as far as California to my rescue. I know that. That's been tried and tested. That's because they've done it before. We've done these things for each other before, over and over again.
And yet what is not in your control, it appears that y'all were chosen. You were chosen.
Had to win.
Well, I don't know about that. The white folks, when I got out the Navy, they talking about, I told them straight up to their face, I ain't got no grass, I ain't got no cotton, I ain't got no hoe, I'm not interested. And they said, you got to get out of town right now. So I ran up on Snake. And that was the most fortunate thing ever happened to me, because wasn't nobody scared. And I couldn't believe my eyes and my ears. I'm among all these people that ain't afraid of these people.
And they put you in your kind.
Right.
I mean, it seems to me you were chosen.
Well, I was chased.
You were chased.
Chase to the chosen.
Chased to the chosen. So that was against your control.
One of the things that I'm thankful for, and that is that I see, feel, and know that I'm evolving
Yes.
into a better person. And that better person really is denoted by me becoming closer and closer with my Creator. And as that grows and develops, I'm growing to know, which makes my faith and confidence in me being protected and guided much stronger. I've gotten to a point where things that happen that I don't have control over, it don't bother me. I go on about what I'm supposed to do. A lot of times, and we talk about Derek traveling, I do a lot of traveling by myself too. But I got faith and confidence that, Almighty God, which, we call by the name of Allah, is going to guide me and protect me. So there are times when I'm on time and I'm setting out and something happens that causes me to have to go a whole nother different direction. I don't worry about that. I don't question that. I know that happened for a good reason. Sometime later on, the reason it happened comes and is revealed to me. And I see. And all of it was in my best interest as a part of that. And that's how that guidance and that protection comes about. So, and I'm confident that at any point in time, when there's something that is needed for me in terms of doing whatever, I have the strength and the capability to do that. Mm-hmm. And if I don't have the strength and capability to do it, then it's in the hands of my protector. And he will do it by whatever means he determined. And sometimes the means he determined is to make you remember that you are going off and leaving something that you desperately needed, and cause you to turn around and go back and get it. And by virtue of turning around, going back and getting it, that is moved out of the way.
That's called follow your first mind, and I get very angry at times when I don't follow my first mind, because it never goes wrong. The first mind.
Think about it, you make a mistake.
Yeah.
Brother Al got something he wanted to say. Good?
No, go ahead.
Al Malik Shabazz, better known as Malcolm X, right? He made a statement. He said, he gave a parable with a snake. He said something like, a snake is poison, right? And if you play with it, you're gonna get bit, and you're gonna die. You're gonna die from the poison. It's that there's a thing about respect and fear. You see now, you know he's poison, and you know if you play with it, you're gonna get bit. So why mess with it? Now if you disrespect him, you're gonna, that's the whole part of, of living.
Right.
Now, you got to give him respect. And giving respect eliminates fear. See? You're not afraid of him, you give him respect. When you see him, you get out of his way.
Right, get out of his way, don't mess with
You
him.
know what he's going to do.
I remember there was a time when we were on this
I'm
demonstration.
trying to make that prayer to moving without. A lot of times we drive in a car. See, a lot of times we drive in a car going down the street, and we know we see a policeman. We know we get ready to be stopped. Because the police know the cop, they know us. And so it's like, I ain't scared of that police. I ain't scared, I'm gonna keep on going. I'm gonna keep going until he stops me. And when he stops me, there's a possibility that I'm going to jail.
Right.
Or if the truck behind me and he ride with some more people, there's a possibility I'm gonna get beat up or get killed. But yet, I'm gonna keep going. You know what I mean? I know all the poisons out there. And I'm gonna give that poison respect.
Right.
Right. Just like the brother said just a while ago. I don't like them people. I don't like him.
Right.
Him. See, it's not, I don't like you, it's that I know you.
I don't know you.
I'm not gonna play with you.
Right.
I'm gonna give you respect because it's just like try to give you another example. You understand where I'm coming from?
While you're thinking of that one, I just want to say that I remember a time when we were on this demonstration, and the police officers started bringing the dogs out, and the dogs just ran to get a hold of us. And the thought comes to my mind, so well, they're getting ready to turn the dogs to us, so the dogs going to mess folks up. And then I looked, and the man had the dog pointed directly at me. And when I saw that he had the dog pointed directly at me, now he done pulled back on him, and the dog is walking on his hind legs. He's standing up, looking at me. And Allah revealed to me and says, your daddy taught you how to kill dogs. That's what he did. So I said, okay. This is one I'm gonna kill. If he comes on, I'm gonna kill him. It was all resolved. The dog, when he gave the dog the slack to come on me, the dog smelled me and jumped on somebody else. I felt sorry.
Maybe you didn't have that fear for the dog to be
Yeah, you didn't smell the fear.
I don't know however, I know when I got to the point and resolved that, yeah, I'm going to have to kill him if he attempts to jump me. And I was resolved to that because it's been revealed saying, look, your daddy taught you how to kill him. And he did. My daddy taught me how to kill dogs. He taught me how to kill him, and I knew it. So that's how, when you look at that situation, I would say from retribution from the law enforcement officers for killing the dog. The dog was given a little bit longer life by me not killing him. So, you know, that was the result of that. But here again, you know, when you know certain things, then you go with that, what you know, and see, that's what happens in terms of us in dealing with our enemies, you know, is that we know who they are, we know where they're coming from, and we won't act and move in accord with that, what we know. We'll go back on to, well, this is probably, and this is how they see it, and we go based on how other folks see it, based on what we know. And when we do that, then we're going against ourselves.
See, when we first heard that the 3 people in the shoulder county was missing, you remember that?
Yeah.
When we first heard that they left the orientation in Oklahoma, I mean, what, Ohio?
Ohio.
They left the orientation to come home to investigate what they heard that the church was being burned down, Mount Zion Church was being burned. So they left for some reason, for some, you know, what motivated them to leave. They felt that what was happening at home and on their project was more important than what was going on there. So they left. And when they got there, we got the word that they were missing. First, you know, the word came out, 2 days later. Somebody called from there and said they ain't showed up. They missing. All of us that were thinking. Now, most people that didn't know anything about the project or the movement, or you know, but some of us who have been active in the 60s, you know, the 61, 62 up there, we got together. Jim Farmer, who was head of who was head of SNCC, John Lewis, nigga, called together, Bob, nigga, called everybody together. And we had a little like the way I was feeling at the time, I said, this is a memorial. They dead. I mean, that's the way I was feeling. But other people had different feelings, you know. They were saying, oh, now, the Mississippi governor, what he said, oh, them boys is gone to Moscow. That's what he should have said. Oh, they just going to Moscow to have a good time. You know, they ain't missing, you know. But all of us got together. Hey, you know, I said, well, you know, that's just one of the things, you know. And a lot of other incidents that happened, you know, like Will Call got beat with Gideon there. Got beat up and
One on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
After we heard that,
After
we heard that, I don't care wherever we were, you know, we said, we did a little thing. And all that brought us close together. You know, all the little incidents like that kept the family. Mm-hmm. So when Jimmy, before he passed, Jimmy, in 2004, Jimmy said, Jesse, what we need to do is to get the family back together. He said, well, it's important that we all come back together just to talk. He said, just to sit down and communicate and have food, and just to talk. I said, Jimmy, what are we going to talk about? We got to have a program, ain't something new. The movement got on, Jimmy said, no. Jimmy said that it's very important that we just come together. There's something going to automatically happen when we come together. And that was his thing. It's the brain. And he called everybody. He called Diane. He called me. He called you. He called HOLLIS. He called you. Them always on the phone. And then he said, we got to come back together. And we did that. And that was his vision, in spite of everything that we were doing. We were doing individually. I know what I was doing, when I got back here. And it was a family. I walked right into at Jackson State. I walked right in and I saw Gilliard. I saw HOLLIS. I saw, Frank Smith. No, I didn't see Frank. I saw Charlie Carr. I saw John O'Neill, Dave Dennis. When I walked in there, I said, hey, and everybody said, where you been? I said, whoa. And Jimmy said, we here. And since then, we had came back into, now some people left. Some people are no longer with us. I think that's what she going now. She talking like, that's what keep us together. The people who are still, who is no longer with us, is still, is thinking about that unity. Now, whatever happened to that unity, that's the next chapter.
And I want to say that Jackson Gray Adams, I used to sit next to her in most of the meetings, and I turn around in meetings now to talk to her, and she's not here. Miss Hudson, I'm looking for her to stand up and say something. Oh, she's not here. They're no longer with us. But it's like, hey, oh no. And Jimmy. Oh, he's not here. But it's that void that's filled, but you can't necessarily communicate, but that spot is still there for you, for each person who's missing. That they are there. And it's a void. It's the spirit.
That's it. We're all spiritual people.
Yeah.
That's it.
But the bond was created when we were created. The togetherness. I have like an eternal flame that burns all the time for justice and freedom. And wherever there's injustice going on anywhere, I feel that passion. It can be in Iraq, it can be in Syria, wherever. Mm-hmm. This flame is burning.
You know what I used to do when I was like 13, 14? I would be in the bed at night dreaming. And if I had me a rifle that would shoot 30 times, could I lay by the side of the road? How many could I knock off before they get me? That's what I used to think about. Mm. Yeah. Remember when I told them, they say, what can we do right here in this building? I told them we could poison all the coffee in the morning. No black folks drink no coffee.
You're a threat to society.
I wouldn't say that now because you can go to jail for terrorism.
You think like that.
But they made you think that way. Up there where I come from, they made you think like that. You didn't think like that, you wasn't much of a man. To even think it, I wasn't going to do it because, first of all, didn't have nothing but a single shot 22 and went with 2 bullets. And if I go up there and buy a carton of bullets, they were, you going rabbit hunting, boy? They want to know what you're going to do with them. So it was a no-brainer from the start, but it was a thought. How can I even level this playing field?
Right.
So it was not possible for me to do it, because if the word got out that I was thinking about it, I was a dead man.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Jesse, back to what you were talking about in Ohio, a picture of me was captured by Herbert Randall. And I didn't know it existed, and I didn't remember. But when we were told that they were missing, and we knew that they were dead, we knew that they were dead, they were missing. And it's like, the reason we became upset was because the students were running around like nothing had happened. They didn't realize the severity and the impact of being missed and what it meant. So we were all serious, and then different people got up and started talking about the seriousness of it. And I'm outside talking and expressing myself, went outside, and then there's a picture of me slumped like this.
Yeah.
And because mourning the death that we already knew had taken place. So we didn't have to be told, we already knew.
Yeah. And when you mentioned pictures, that brought a thing to mind where you don't see a lot of photographs of me. And there's a reason. No, you don't. There's a reason for that. And the reason for that is because when I went to the Delta and started working down in Holmes County, I was living with Ozell Mitchell, because the Hartman Turnbull, his sister Miss Carnegie, and it might have been Jack Louis that came to Greenwood and invited us to come to Macomb. But anyway, not Macomb, come to Holmes County.
Yeah.
So I was one of them that was working down in Holmes County. So when the white folks firebombed Turnbull's house, then I was arrested for burning his house. He was arrested for burning his house and all of that. Long story short, Sheriff Smith brought me into his office, because at that time I had my hair cut real close, kind of like Warzier's is here now. And before that, all working down in Macomb, I had one bigger than what Brother Frank got right now. So Sheriff Smith didn't put the two together. So he brought me in his office and told me, I know you look like you're a nice young man and all that, and I know these radicals done convinced you and got you doing something you don't want to do. And I want to let you know that if you just work with me, and I'll let you out of this stuff. He sat at his conference table, which was a little bit bigger than this, and he had photographs on top of his table, completely filled up. Even I was there with my big fro and all, and he didn't know, because he had everybody that had worked in Macomb on his table. And he says to me, if you will identify some of these pictures for me, I'll just let you out. So I identified the obvious ones that everybody knew. And I didn't go no further, and naturally I didn't identify me. And it hit me, the distance between Macomb and Holmes County, Lexington,
Yeah, that's a long way.
you know, that's like 150 miles. But he's got the photographs of it. I said, these folks got a network. And this is how they work, is by these photographs. And from that day on, I said, there will never be no more photographs of me if I can help it. In a meeting I had, I didn't allow no photographs to be taken. Because I'm saying, if they got this kind of network, I don't need to be helping them in that network, you know, with them being able to show photographs of us that's in the movement. And that's the major reason you don't see a lot of photographs of me. If it's a group setting or what have you, that people were taking photographs, I'd get behind somebody. You know, or I'll move off to the side so I wouldn't be in it, because I didn't want to be a part of that process. And by looking at what that sheriff had in his office, and I said, wow, I wonder how many other county sheriffs has got these same photographs, you know, in their office. Probably everywhere some of us is working, they got it. So I just wanted to put that out there.
So when I got arrested at the fairgrounds at Mega's funeral, after his funeral, I was taken to the fairgrounds, and he and Mr. Withers filmed in my shoes, a photographer, because he didn't want them destroyed. And so after I was threatened with the sweat box, I said, no, it's not worth it. So I said, here is the film. And they said, we're surprised that a gal like you from Mississippi is going to let these outsiders come down here and get you in trouble. I know your parents are ashamed of you. And I'm trying to figure out, how in the hell do you know who I am?
All of your business. I'm telling you, they know all your business.
Yeah. We got all your beautiful photographs and everything.
How in the hell you know who I am? A gal like you from Mississippi gonna let these people get you in trouble.
Yep.
And I'm trying to,
Figure out how they know all this.
yeah.
Yeah, they know your birthday, everything.
He just looked at me. He just looked at me and said, boy, don't you know better? You know better, because you from Mississippi.
Yeah, I'm saying with you, boy.
But
know you
how-
wasn't raised
all the
like
time,
that.
You can't prevent it, because this was
I know.
a spontaneous photograph.
Yeah.
And you don't know that they're taking your picture while you walking across the street or somewhere. And I have a picture in the Sovereignty Commission files that I don't know how they took, but it was taken.
Yeah.
I know when I was doing freelance photography, I used to have fun, because I would test folks. Anytime somebody was taking pictures of the group, I took pictures of all of those that were taking pictures. And a lot of them didn't like that. You know, he's taking a picture, and he see you turning on him. He'll try to keep you from taking his picture. But I made sure, if I was somewhere that someone was taking photographs, I made sure I took one of everybody that was
Who's taking pictures?
And you find that there are a number of them that didn't like that, and they try to keep you from taking. And one of them had somebody taking my picture. I said,
Same reason you taking mine.
Let me put a thing on the floor. When somebody walk up to you, you at a meeting, I'm gonna use you for example. I'm gonna use you for example. Somebody, you know, when people walk up to me and say, Mr. Harris, I want to thank you. And I appreciate for what you did for us. I want you're heroes, you're a hero. The veteran gave me a proclamation, gave me a award for serving on the steering committee. You know, a little trophy.
Making fun of that award.
Yeah, well, it's funny.
I mean, you know, when I played golf, you know, one of the things they used to give me a trophy, right? I took the trophy home. I took so many trophies home. My mama had a whole trophy closet, right? Full of cloth.
Is that how much can you get for these?
My mama said, Jesse, when is you gonna start to bringing some money home? You can't eat these trophies.
Hey, what are these things worth?
Down at the 50, Freedom Ride 50. It's that thing that done to the art building downtown. All these people come in. I came here to sit down. And my picture up on the wall, you know, every day that whole time. Everybody in there. Now I know downtown at the convention center, I seen old, you know, people, middle-aged people, young people, white people, black people. You know, this is a reception for, when I'm in there, everybody coming. Thank you. Appreciate you. You dedicated in your life. I'm thinking at the same time. Now, I appreciate what, I appreciate your awards and all your gifts, and, whatever, all those things. I appreciate that. But that's, the bottom line is that I haven't really did anything. The thing that I did, I ain't been no different from thousands of other people who came out and participated in the movement.
The heroes are dead.
I mean,
okay.
Thousands, they got locked up. A lot of people got beat up and everything. And the struggle is not over with. See, now that gave me encouragement. I'm taking this from what somebody else said, what other people experienced. I felt it myself. You are a hero. I mean, I never could put that together. Really, I had a problem with that.
The only heroes are dead. If you ain't dead, how you gonna be a hero?
No.
One of the things that I do to find out where people are when they come and say that to me, because most people I found out when they say that to you, they're expecting you to start talking.
Yeah.
About the ones that are dead.
And I generally just say to folks when they say that to me, I say, well, thank you. I appreciate that. And that's it.
That's it.
You look at me, I look at you.
But do you also
thank me, and I appreciate you giving me the thought. So now I'm ready to waiting to hear whatever you got to say. And generally, you can tell where they're coming from if you got the patience and the nerve to.
Yeah, none of these people that walk up and say, I thank you and you're my hero, now one of them slip you $100 bill, I guarantee you die.
Or like Mr. Jessie was saying, the struggle continues. So when they thanking you,
he thank me for enough to pass me say have dinner. Take your friend out to lunch. I appreciate you that much. He don't appreciate me that much.
And then you also want to know maybe they thanking you. They understand and look at the significance of what you've done.
He ain't thanking me enough to buy me dinner.
What are they doing? Because the struggle continues. Yeah. You could say, but the struggle is not done. This is not done. So what are you doing? What are you doing? You thanking me? What are you doing? Or what's on your mind? What else needs to be done?
Then you get, I marched with Dr. King, and then you just keep walking.
Mm-hmm.
I generally just keep walking because I know that that's a marker for some type of identification, and that when people say that, that means that they are really not a part of the movement. I marched with Dr. King.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, if you walk up to a snake person and say that, he wasn't in the movement.
There was some folks out there too that was ranting about their being involved, man. I don't ever remember being. I can't say that I was long, whatever, but we were real active. I saw this somewhere, someplace, sometime.
See, we faced with that now. When me and Mac started traveling, going in the area, trying to identify people who were active, you know, and invite them to a meeting like this, sit down, let's talk. You know, like we go, like we leave in Macomb, and we plan to, like, we're doing that. All occasions. When we get to town, we're looking for one person. That's the key person. Once we find him, then he can turn us on to everybody else. See, but when we find that person, that's the key. It's, hey, you know, Mac and I know most of the people who are still living, you know, or they know us.
Right.
Like we went to Merida, and we found a person. He was cutting hair at a barbershop. Somebody told us that he had something to do with civil rights, with chaining them, you know, that he would, you know, have something. So we went in there and I said, hey, you know, introduce ourselves. And they said, oh, okay, yeah, you know, Max said, when can we sit down and talk, you know? Oh, okay, then we sat down and they started talking. Yeah, we're training them, we're at the Code 4 office over there. I used to come to the Code 4 office and I participated in the discussion. And I said, and he introduced us to another person. And he said, I marched with Dr. Martin Luther King. And I went in 1958. You know, I said, wow, this brother is actually this book, you know. And I turned the camera off. I was gonna leave it on while we talked, you know. I think I'm getting an interview, right? I turned it off because when he started, he marched with Dr. Martin Luther King. And he went over to see very good Marshall. You know,
well, see, you remember that song Matthew wrote?
I said, well, no. This ain't the brother that we really want to, you know, invite to a meeting. But we want to keep people who act. We end up getting a whole lot of people. They demonstrated in a protest downtown. They got arrested, got out. They ain't doing nothing. And since then, they didn't do nothing. Like Fred, you know, I don't want to call it. I call it like Fred Claus, you know. You know, I don't want to, you know, interfere with it. But I'm saying, there's hundreds of people that we have met since we've been traveling the state that are, you know, saying that they did something.
Do you remember Matthew wrote the song about Grandpa, what did you do in the movement? And everybody you meet 50 years later gonna tell you they led the demonstration. He wrote that song 50 years ago.
Yeah, this is a prophecy of snake.
Well, you have a whole lot of organizations coming in since money has flowed, since the passing of the civil rights legislation. You got organizations coming in and saying that they got a program, and they developed that program when they were working in the movement.
Right.
And they get funded.
So these are new programs.
These are programs, the Community Action Agent program. They said that they're going to do, we're going to improve the condition in Georgetown, and this is how we're going to improve it. And the government, with its social program, found that program, and they say what they talking about they doing.
Well, how do you know when there's, when you're talking to these different people in the community, if you don't know them personally or have a contact in that area, how do you know what they're telling you is true, other than them saying they march with Dr. King?
Well, that's enough
They
right
say
there.
That's enough. They're lying
right
when you
there.
say marching.
They kill it, man.
It kills it.
Because they all want to be in march with him.
And that was all a small group of us. I mean, everybody was not in the movement.
No.
There were very few people in the movement to begin with. Very few. And the few who were in there were passionate zealots. Very passionate. Very, very passionate. When you talk about getting together, we don't have to get together. We were passionate in our own communities about injustice. And when you see injustice rolling before you on television, and when you read about it, that passion is there, then you remember when this incident happened, but compare it to something else. And when you come together, we don't come together very often, but we know that wherever there's injustice, we want to do something about it, spiritually and otherwise.
Yeah, exactly that point I wanted to make. We have what they call we're not all over the state of California like they have the Mississippi veterans of the civil rights movement here, and we have the Bay Area vets. And wherever you find those of us with the passion who worked and had projects, and we're still doing things. Wherever you find us, we're still doing stuff. Wherever we drop down and we see the process, say, oh, it's here. We get involved. And that's one of the main differences. Somebody like Jessie and McLaurin go and find somebody that's doing something. That means they ain't doing.
You want to know how I got to Ole Miss? Now that's an interesting story. In Charleston, I'm talking to these young people that don't believe they can go to college. I'm telling them, instead of standing on this corner, you can get paid to go to school. They didn't believe me. I left there that day, went to Ole Miss. I didn't know it was going to happen so quick. I got registered. The next day, they called me and say, you set up your classes and your money is at Bancorp South. All you got to do is go over there and fill out the papers and get your money. I went over there broke one day and had $4,000 the next day and registered for 4 classes. Just like that. And they didn't believe me. Now that's how I got back, how I got to Ole Miss.
It took place in Mozambique, down in South Africa, with Robert Mugabe. When the revolution did, all the people that fought in the revolution, and when the revolution came to an end, the government came to an end, they made a decision, and the revolution was all about land reform. So when they won that, Mugabe said that everybody that fought in the revolution was going to get a part of the land. And they were distributing the land. If you fought in the revolution, you're going to get a part of the land. You're entitled to it. People that did not fight in the revolution, did not support the revolution, they were the first one that got the land. They came in and said, I worked on this plot for this corporation or this white man. I worked as a farmer on his land, and then when you go get a land to the people, this is my spot. When the white man left, this is my spot. Because I was here acting on, The movement said, no. When the white man left, on the left, you left. Then they said, no. So they started picking up arms against the people There's the land was allocated, you know, the revolution. They started picking up arms and fighting against the people talking about land reform. But it boiled down like it is now. It boiled down to when the Civil Rights Bill was passed in 65, 64, every organization in Jackson, a social organization in Jackson, came out and said, yeah, I was a part of the Civil Rights Movement, one of the people responsible for helping to get the Civil Rights Movement passed. And we want this, we want this. When the government started talking about giving out funds to helping the community, these organizations, these same people came out right now saying, I was a part of the movement, my organization. This is what we intend to do. We want to take from the movement and start our program. And they get funded from it, foundations. And now their legitimacy with the civil rights movement in the 60s don't even exist. Now what it is needed, is during the history of the movement, we need to pinpoint, bring all that out. Is to go into those communities and identify people and programs and sites, bring them together so we can study the history.
I just have a question, and I don't want to go off course, but I was thinking about Ann Moody.
About what?
Ann Moody, you know, there's and you don't hear very much about her or her involvement in the movement, but when kids go to college now, Coming of Age in Mississippi is one of the first books that they get in black literature. She went to Toulouse.
And go to
And you
remember,
also-
the name is familiar.
I know her.
Yeah.
Are you asking?
Can you
Elaborate on it?
She came to Tupelo from Natchez Junior College.
Natchez?
Yeah, Natchez Junior College. And she came to some meetings, and she participated in sit-in at Woolworth's, and she worked for a brief time in Canton, and she left and went north to speak, and she never came back.
Just loan me a dime.
Jackie Robinson helped her to get a contract to write the book. And I was staying with her at the time when she initially got the contract. And I left her home under bad circumstances. I was forced to leave under bad circumstances, about 1 or 2 in the morning in New York. And the piece that she has in there about me being slapped by the president of Jackson State College was not true, because I would have still been fighting him right now. Yes.
True.
See, a lot of people write books, like I said before, essays about the movement. A lot of people participate in lecture series. See what they did, you know. And the way you could spot that when they started talking, what they did, pay attention to the dates. You know, when they say 1960. See, every time I say about what I did, I always start off at 1961, doing the freedom ride, I go over there, and then I say after the early part of 1962, a lot of people say, I talk about the dates, Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party was formed, and who, you know, and the program of that. But you notice a lot of people say, well, I worked with the Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party. I helped form, you know, they never mention dates. See, I worked with the Summer Project. You know, I participated in the Freedom School, but they never say the dates.
Sounds like a resume.
See? So, see, that's what, if you can remember events, dates, and places, people, places, and events, and important dates, then you pretty much can do a meaningful interview if you want to do. If you want to write a book, like I said, a lot of people write books about the movement, but they just generalize, you know. They don't be, you know, to the bottom line is that, you know, and the information can get off. Like Charlie Cobb did his book. That book that he brought here, you'll read that, man, because he got some information from every people, places, and dates, and events. He got it down pat.
Yeah.
You know, because he did his research.
What about Lynn Holt? He had written a piece.
He wrote a book.
Right.
Who's it?
Lynn Holt,
Oh,
lawyer.
yeah. Yes, yeah.
Yes.
Prior to Part in the Waters, I thought. You know.
No, that was,
Vincent.
That was the white guy.
Right. What I'm saying,
That was just what's
Lynn had written one prior to that. He had written one back in the
Yeah.
Taylor Branch wrote that Part in the Waters.
Right.
And then he wrote the other book. Taylor Branch, the only beef I have with everything that is mostly in that book is factual. But he didn't come to us. He had access to the file of the State Department and all the news organization.
I was wondering how he wrote the book.
Yeah, that's how he wrote it. He never interviewed you. He never interviewed me. And he wrote some factual things about me and this incident, what happened in Greenwood when they shot up the car on March 6, 1963. Yeah. I said, how you know all that stuff? And then I started checking in. And I said, yeah, that's he. And I found out who he is and all that kind of stuff. You know, he had already had he was a priest in the Catholic order. He was a priest, and when he decided to leave that, he already had legitimacy with the State Department and the news people and that kind of thing. And he already knew he could write, and he started to write. Started doing research in that way. And I guess if you have that kind of access, it did save him a lot of money trying to find all of us and interview us.
I was wondering how you put that together,
Yeah.
especially up in the Delta.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Now, getting back to Ann Moody, I was doing a seminar at Georgetown University, and I saw the reading list. She's on the reading list there. So I had initially read the book when it first came out, and after I saw it on the reading list, I went back last year and got a copy of it and reread it. And I was more disturbed when I reread it. Because The book is a sick book.
Mm-hmm.
It's a sick book. Emotional distress.
Yeah.
She's talking about her emotions and so forth. And that type of book, I guess, identifies us in a different light than one who's lucid and oriented and has a direction.
Mm-hmm.
Because I found it full of complaints about headaches and family not getting together and color line, because she was always in the mirror talking about being beautiful and that she had a color problem in her family and so forth. And she described herself as a girl who couldn't go home. Mm-hmm. All of us were from Mississippi. And she said that she couldn't go home. And I never said anything to her, but I knew people who went home. Everybody went home. So, but she was good at talking and telling a story. And in Canton, for instance, it doesn't describe her everyday work. It describes her talking about her emotions and how she felt that day and how she talked to Dave Dennis or something. But day-to-day field work was not the major part of her narrative.
And she couldn't do that because, at the time, she was contemporary with us. If she'd been done some day-to-day field work, we would have known her. I mean, real good. I mean, I knew her name and all that kind of stuff. But
she went to Canton.
Huh?
She went to Canton.
She went to Canton with George.
With Core.
George Raymond.
Yeah, but she didn't stay.
Even then,
Yeah.
if she was doing some significant work with them guys up there,
right.
I would have known what she was, because people who were doing stuff in hot spots we had a thing, we admired and respected each other at the same time. We bonded with each other. She didn't do nothing that made me have a bond, that kind of a bond with her. I'm not putting her down, but she just wasn't key in whatever project that she was in. It's almost like some of these guys that go among the Native Americans in Nicaragua and who have these mystical powers. They don't go there to learn how to be like them and be healers and to help people. They go there to write a book, and it sounds like Ann Moody. She was in the project, but she was there. It gave her some kind of legitimacy whereby she could write a book that would be read, and listened to, and sold,
Well, she was sent to New York by Core with a Jughead. You remember? Mm-hmm. Because she was like...
She went with Jughead?
She and Jughead were articulate.
That's right.
And he was very articulate. He was 10 years old.
He was young boy, yeah.
So the two of them were sent by Core to raise money. And that's how she got up there. But she was only in Canton a very short time.
Very short time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But the book is sick.
Yeah, definitely,
Yeah, I heard that she was at Tulu at one point, and they had to evict her from the housing. And when she put me out at 2 a.m.
Yeah, I remember when you talked about that. That's who that was.
Your beloved brother
mm-hmm.
came and got me, picked me up at 2 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
from East Village.
Right, yeah.
All the way up to 8 or something in New York.
Mm-hmm.
I was desperate because to be put out of the house at that time of morning. Tell everybody that Aunt Moody put you out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I was scared of her anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I had written a note that said, if I'm killed, Aunt Moody killed me.
Mm-hmm.
I put it under the rug.
Right, yeah.
Where you go? I wonder why you asked that question.
Well, I think he was trying to flush out Lynn Holtz in the book that he wrote.
Mm-hmm.
which had some degree of impact on him.
Okay.
And it predated Taylor Branch's trial.
I'm trying to remember the narrative in Lynn's book. I read it so long ago. And I was looking for it recently, but
What time
I found the cover for it, but I didn't find the book.
What time Bob supposed to meet with us?
4 o'clock.
5
o'clock.
5 o'clock.
Oh, could you tell us about the impact that
About
Lynn's book?
I can't. I haven't read it. Maybe when he gets back. But we were in a discussion about it. I guess maybe a month ago, and he was telling me how much he was impacted by it, and how far before Taylor Branch it was. But it's probably the same subject matter. What kind of person was Lynn Holtz, the lawyer?
Very.
He's a lawyer.
And he was found to be very profound, right? Very profound.
Yeah, I remember the first time I met him in '63. He came to Greenwood. He had 2 German Shepherds dogs with him.
That was protection, I guess.
Yeah, they were sick dogs on him. He was sick dogs on him. He came to the Freedom House down on Barrentine.
When Lynn Holder is the guitar player?
No.
Oh, okay.
He's a legal piece.
He married Faye Bellamy.
Right.
Oh.
He married Faye Bellamy.
Yeah, now it's coming back. Yeah, from my line.
Before you end this piece, I would like to say that I think it's important that every time we get together that our history be told. And I think it's even more important that it be done in the film like so that our children can actually hear the story. They read it, true enough, but it's, a lot of times it's not written by us, it's distorted.
That's right.
And so they need to hear the real truth. And I think that each time that a seat, like we sitting here now, just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, is vacant, and that person has transitioned, I think we need a face of that person in a chair.
That's right.
So when we talk about that person will be just as real to them. Most of the people you talk about, I've read about, I've met in my lifetime, but my child has not.
Right.
So I think it would be good if we had a face to put with that person, so that can become a part of that history. And years from now, when someone go into our history archives, they will see, oh, this is the way that person lived. This is the way that person was. Because if we don't have that, then they can't visualize it. We're at the point where our children can't believe because they can't visualize it. They can't see it.
They can't see it.
But here today, they'll be able to see it. But then we've talked with people that's gone on, they won't know. So I just think it's important that we continue to do this and do it often because like I tell folks, we're getting older.
That's true.
We're not getting younger, we're getting older.
Right.
I heard someone say that a man 90-year-old died the other day. They said, ooh, he was young. And I said, young, 90 years old. And then the person said, not age. They weren't speaking of his age. But speaking of him in terms of wisdom and what he had to offer. He died too young.
Yeah.
Because nobody captured what he had.
What he had said, and what he did.
I just think that's important because there's so much that we need to learn. And the only way we can learn is from the people who actually lived it.
Right.
And my husband finds things out about me now, and he tells people he did not know. And we've been together 30, soon will be 37 years. And it's just like Jessie said a while ago, you know what question to answer, you know what question not. I learned that. I learned that in a setting at a church by the first black police officer. And he said, when a cop asks you something, give him your name. And then if he said, how old are you, give him that. But if he asks your name, don't tell him where you live and who your parents was and all that. That's not what he asked. So if you don't ask me, I'm not volunteering any information. So I just think it's important that we continue to do this and that we do it often and often. Much time, every time we get together, it needs to be a setting where it's told.
Right. You're right. In the Bay Area, the Bay Area vets of the Civil Rights Movement, we meet once a month, and of course sometimes we can't meet because various ones of us, you know how we are. We're doing things, off taking care of some kind of pertinent business, But most of the time we meet once a month, and this is what we do, and we decide. We talk and laugh and lollygag with us, and then we get to the part where we tell the Bruce Hartford, who is who's the one who handles the
Yes, sir.
Huh?
Yes, sir.
Which I didn't bring him today either. He's the webmaster. And then we tell him when to turn on the tape. So we need to put this up on the web for everybody. And when we have certain some months we have certain sessions that we come there knowing that we're going to talk about certain phases of the movement from 60 on up to when we be realistic, we can't handle it all. We take it phase by phase of where we participated and who was there and what did that. And we were inspired because, as you know, other people like Taylor Blanch and all these other people were writing and distorting our history. And we do have a page on the website where we can put up pictures, or you can put up memorial, or you can put up any memorial statement. We got a memorial page where you put up anything about, you want to say something about June Johnson that other people didn't know about, or whoever, Vicky Gray, or whoever who have passed on. We got a memorial page for that, and it's never too late to put it up. It might have been somebody that you think about that wasn't up. And anybody that was in the movement across the country, you don't have to be in the Bay Area. You can access the website, the Bay Area Vets of CivilRights.org, and put it up.
It's important.
And it can be read by millions of people. Students, we get thousands of hits a month from all over the world on that site. Mm-hmm. So I brought cards and stuff with the web page and all that kind of stuff on it, and I keep leaving them in my suitcase in my room up there, over there to Quinton. That ain't happening much. So I will be taking them back I won't have distributed not one.
Well, get our address and mail them to us, and we make sure they get distributed.
Now, I remember Jim Foreman used to tell us, pace it back and forth, write it down.
Write it down.
Yeah. Write it down.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Write it down. And we'd be on these marathon meetings for 12 hours nonstop. Write it down.
Write it down.
Write it down.
Yep.
And we write it down. We never took time out from talking and strategizing to write it down.
So
you write it down and you lose it.
So we back there trying to, with the collective minds of the different ones of their vets, we are trying to piece together, stuff that if we'd written it down then we'd have it. But there were some things that were written down. There was some, actually, Dorie, the meeting we had in Savannah, Georgia, in the Christmas holidays of 1962, with Bill Mahoney, he was doing the recording, and he was supposed to do the transfer or whatever. Reel tape, and he had all of that stuff, and that was because we talked about, and we actually talked about and prophesied every stage of things that was going to be happening to us and to the movement, right to the penny, And we had an agenda for all of that stuff. And that's why we needed to transcribe. And then Bill Mahoney went somewhere and went crazy on us, he really...
He had Atlanta.
Yeah, he got sick. Yeah. And,
See, that itself it was important because
yeah.
it is outlined and planned. Then we could have prevented some of the things that
we
happened.
could if we had
we could have prevented
yeah.
because all the time I ask my husband, when are we going to not go back, but when are we going to take from our history and use it to better ourselves?
Mm-hmm.
And see, if you had that information, then we can use it as a tool, but it's lost, it's gone, so we don't have a tool.
We don't have it. And there's no, I don't believe in accidents and coincidence. There was no accident that happened. I believe something, Bill Mahoney he was brilliant. And I believe something happened to him. I mean, I think we had a few of us that the intelligence forces of this country got a hold to, and it kind of mentally took us out, Yeah. And that needs to be, that ain't real to a lot of people who are beginning to get into movement and struggle. That they need to know that that forces out there that if you become significant, they're ready to take you out. And we need some kind of, as well as they can say, we need some kind of machinery to address that.
Yeah. We do.
Yeah.
That needs to be on the agenda.
Mm-hmm. It does. It really does.
Yeah.
The question you asked about Lynn Holt, what was your thinking about that?
Why his book has not received the kind of recognition that, and then just maybe it's just me lately coming to realize that it existed, but as a book such as Part in the Water and some of these others, and also
he said, I have been a great inspiration and motivation to him.
He told you that?
He told me that.
who said this?
Don't take me out of here now. Don't take me out.
Yeah, he did. He was at a program where he was being honored. And I was too, but we were sitting close together. And he told me that I had been a great motivation and inspiration to him.
Yeah. That kind of scared you, didn't it?
It caught me completely off guard.
So and I just said that because it's a part of history that's not mentioned,
Right.
It's a whole part of history that's lost and that it's not recorded. And I don't know will it ever be recorded because all the counties that we have in Mississippi, and I'm sure there was people who did come on, that worked behind the scene and continue to work. And I know Miss Pittman, everybody knows Miss Pittman, and I know the hard work she did, and I worked with Miss Pittman and boycotts and whatnot, but she didn't get the recognition. You hear of, I'm not going to say Horace and other Horaces that get mentioned, but there's so many folks that work between then and now, and that history is lost because none of us, I'm not able to write it because I can't remember hardly what I did yesterday.
There's a way it's written down somewhere.
I hope so.
Yeah, Miss Pittman, like Richard Jackson movement, all of it. That's what it needed, and that's what we try to do now.
Yeah, its history's lost out there. It needs to be found and written, talked about.
Because I'm looking for black history, black leaders each day.
and some of them has died, and
Yeah.
their name will never be mentioned.
And recently I've been reading the history of Mississippi. Well, Senator Bruce was from here. And reading about him being the deputy in Bolivar County or something.
Right.
And it names a whole lot of stuff that happened here during Reconstruction. And Lynch, we don't know a lot. I was telling Mr. Figures yesterday, I think, that signage needs to be put up about Lynch, who he was, and what contribution he made to the state. You just check this Lynch Street, who was Lynch? And
See, when we were doing redistricting, especially for both after the 1990 census and after the 2000 census, we talked quite a bit about Lynch. You know, because here again, that's how they ultimately got him out of office, was through redistricting. They drew what was known as the shoestring district that ran from Tennessee to Louisiana, one county wide, right down the Mississippi River. And when he looked at that district, he knew that it was no way possible that he could go from Louisiana to Tennessee campaigning to get folks to work for him. So he didn't even attempt to run. But it was through redistricting that they got him
Like it is now.
out of office. And they're still using redistricting to get so many of us out of office. Let's take, for example, to a great extent, they use redistricting here in Mississippi to nullify the Voting Rights Act. Because with the passage of the Voting Rights Act, they changed the districts for the congressional delegation. Prior to that time, the whole Delta area had remained in one congressional district ever since 1902 to 1965. The whole Delta area had remained in one congressional district. Once the passage of the Voting Rights Act came about, they divided the Delta area up between 4 different congressional districts to make sure that black folks were not able to elect someone to Congress.
It's ridiculous.
Man.
And they continue today to do the same thing.
So my question is, when you think about the new kind of freedom school concept, going back to that, how do we identify authentic publications, pieces that's out there that speak to the history, that speaks to the movement, right, that have not been talked about? Because right now, the state of Mississippi is doing what they call the creative economy.
What?
The creative economy, which is nothing no more than capitalizing on black experience in terms of historical sites. They have these markers that
It's
they
called
put up.
creative.
The creative economy. Taking what's already in the community, like jug houses,
Yeah.
blues trails, the blues artists,
landmark.
civil rights movement,
Yeah.
Money, Mississippi, the bus station, they putting up these signs, making a killing with these markers, right? And then you got foreigners coming who are looking for their authentic experience in terms of the culture and heritage here in Mississippi. So what is going to really speak to the authentic black experience here in the state that we know about that hasn't been put out there? In other words, you've got a group of foreigners coming through. What resources, what references do we point them to get a real understanding of the history?
See, that's one thing that we're trying to do right now. And that is, instead of the Mississippi Tour Bureau, when you come to the question of a tour, when you come to the question of getting information about the movement, they got this organization or this individual or this group is putting the package together, that they work with already. But what we're talking about is getting the people who was involved in the movement to come together and do that.
But I think it's already been preordained that, no, in Hattiesburg, they told me, it's air conditioning,
Is it too cold? Let me see.
Put the air conditioner.
that this, I've eaten some good food, Lord.
I'm gonna have to leave. I have to be somewhere. But
Tea or water?
Water, this one.
hopefully the next time I'll be able to stay even longer.
Yes, because you have good ideas.
Get you a swing at that ball you got down there.
She got a ball of head down there.
Oh,
Yes, you got a ball down there.
right. I'm glad it's not a snake. But Blue said he wasn't scared of snakes, but he's
Just don't want to be bit.
just don't want to be bit. Thank you. Just don't want to be bit. Thank you so much.
It's my pleasure.
And Mr. Figures is a gentleman.
Oh, thank you. He better.
Oh. They said that in Hattiesburg, there's a white female who's over the Civil Rights Museum in Hattiesburg. And here in Jackson, the woman who's in office now will oversee the Civil Rights Museum and the Mississippi Museum.
Mississippi Department of Archives and History.
A white female who's already in office. And the presentation will be sanctioned by whomever is sitting on those boards, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Huh?
That's correct. And in the Mississippi Development of Authority Department, we have a young lady by the name of Sarah Cully, who's white, over what they call culture and heritage. She's responsible for putting together, well, they say they pulled together a team of civil rights folks to identify this person. But she is over the historical markers for the civil rights trail.
And these are the same people whose grandparents and uncles and so forth beat us and arrested us, and now they're in charge of our history.
And not only that, let's take it a step further. In terms of how the profiteering is breaking out, even the shacks that we used to live in, people are now coming here paying anywhere from $150 to $200 a night to stay in over at Hobson Plantation and Tallahatchie Flat just outside of Greenwood before you get the money.
They're paying to live in.
Yes, ma'am. They're finding these old shacks, pulling them off the plantations, bringing them to one locale, and they fixing them up with amenities like air and heat. And people come from across the country and they pay anywhere from $150 to $250 a night to sleep in a shack.
Is this public or private?
Hobson Plantation, I would think, is private.
It's private.
They're all private.
Plantation owners is just...
They make
Now, here's the other kicker. The Mississippi Development Authority, they're going around, they just finished a tour around the state.
they get the
In
feeling.
terms of how do you do the, what the creative economy is. And so in one of the meetings, they let it slip. They said, y'all don't, and they assume they're talking to a whole group of white folks.
Yeah.
They said, y'all don't go across the railroad track to those places, but you should make sure that they are preserved and you don't tear them down. They're talking about juke joints.
Oh, Lord.
Because foreigners are coming and they're looking for the authentic experience here in Mississippi. So they won't go to a juke joint.
Right.
In terms of the blues.
And they are...
Making money. They say, my son, Lydia Cassador from Montgomery County says, hey, It's big money in tourism. It's big money in these blues markers. The bottom line for them is the dollars.
Yep. We probably need to close this session. Because we're supposed to be back here at 5 for another session.
Well, what time is it now?
Huh?
What time is it now?
About 3:30. I need to make a